I understand where you all are coming from.
Well, we're just trying to make sense of it. We're trying to figure out what you're saying.
We're trying to figure out this video.
You explain it to us. We're listening.
I just did. Like, we were playing, and then, like, I thought it was... My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. My plan was not to... He'll be up here any minute.
But you willingly went upstairs and went to sleep. No one forced you to go upstairs and get ready for bed.
My plan wasn't also to leave him in the suitcase.
So why didn't you take him out?
Because I went upstairs, and then I fell asleep.
But why didn't you consciously think, he's asking to come out, he can't
I didn't
breathe.
do it intentionally.
What do you think is going to happen if you leave somebody in a confined space like that?
Well, I thought by not zipping it up all the way, it would be okay. My plan was not to leave him in the suitcase.
What was your plan?
Waiting for him to come upstairs.
And then when he did it?
I fell asleep.
You said you were up there 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, somebody not coming up.
Knowing that the last time you saw him was in the suitcase, 30 minutes later, you're like, maybe I should go check on him? Maybe I shouldn't?
No.
That didn't cross your mind because it didn't happen.
That's like an assumption. Like, that's what you all are thinking. Just...
We're asking.
It's the whole...
You tell us.
It's the drinking. That's what it is. It's the drinking. I thought it was, like... I thought he was okay. Like, I didn't... He's
telling you he's not. He's telling you, Sarah, I can't breathe. He's saying your name, and you're like, that's my name, don't wear it out.
Guys, that's how we are with each other. Like, nobody understands our relationship. The whole suitcase thing never happened before.
Would you leave someone else in a suitcase?
All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. So look, her strategy, I think, is that to put forward that it isn't premeditated in any way. And either that's because she understands something of the law and something of what she could get convicted on and what the sentence would be, or she just knows that that's a better idea to say that she's involved, obviously, but it's an accident and there is no forethought around it. Premeditated murder is obviously as pretty much as strong as you can get. But the male is always showing disagreement, pursed lips, clear pursed lips as well to show disagreement, closed and protective. This is not great body language. I mean, it could be a tactic, but I think by this point we know it's not. It's his demeanor. It's his demeanor within this. He's closed. Now, what's this turning into? Well, they're never entering into her idea. You don't have to agree with the world that she's in, but you've got to accept that that's her world and if you know she's lying, just accept that world for a bit to get in there with her. They're trying to undo that world from outside. They're trying to show evidence and go, well, whatever you're saying doesn't fit with this outside idea. What I would suggest they should be doing is getting inside the world and dismantling it from within, from a sense of agreement, from a sense of accord, and just unpicking it from inside rather than outside. So they're being judgmental. They make judgment calls. They're being moral with her. They're kind of going, well, why would you do that? Well, that's not the right thing to do. Well, that's just judgment and morals. And also they're attacking the norms of relationship. She puts a norm forward that says, hey, it's kind of a thing you do is to stick somebody in a suitcase and kind of play around with that. Well, look, it may not be a norm for me or a norm for you, but you've got to get an acceptance of that norm to be able to unpick it from the outside. They're arguing the idea. It's going nowhere good. Scott, what do you got on this one?
All right. He says, you explain it to us. We're listening. And then he looks down at his phone and doesn't pay attention to her anymore. And then she's still in protective mode. Like you're saying, she's got her arms really close to her body. All that. It's staying with her baseline of the behaviors we've seen up to this point. And again, the guy detective looks like he's the one being questioned. He's sitting back in his chair. He's got his arms crossed. He's moving around. He looks nervous. He's touching his face, everything else. He's adapting with his hands. everything. He looks like he's the one in trouble. Then out of nowhere, she says, because when I went upstairs and then I fell asleep, his open-handed gesture comes out when hers does, out of nowhere. And he says nothing. And he's just distracting at this point. He's just, I don't know what this guy's doing at this point. Then she says, I didn't do it intentionally. Boom, there it is again. We're done. All you got to do is move forward from that point and say, okay, well, shoot, let's talk about that. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. Then he says, so what do you think is going to happen if you leave someone in a confined space like that? He's not even listening. At that point, he's not listening. He's not even looking at her. And I don't think he knows what's going on. And I agree with you, Chase. A lot of detectives haven't had training, but this isn't good, because somebody may go to prison that doesn't need to go to prison, because these people will get it wrong. They'll push them into it and won't realize they're seeing a false confession. And this worries me. This worries me. They need to call somebody and get some help down there in Florida quick. Greg, what do you got?
Hey, it's Dr. Phil here. Please subscribe to the Behavior Panel.
Thanks.
Got him.
It's funny. You wouldn't have gotten me, but I covered it up when I was reading all this from the statute.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, here you go. Let's see if I can go find it. It'll take me again a second now. All right,
man,
you guys got me this time. Yeah, so there really are. Just hold on. Now you got to wait for me. Sorry.
I got it. Got all the time in the world.
All right, go ahead. Okay, so state courts have ruled that this is murder too, a killing that was the result of ill will, hatred, spite, or evil intent, an act of a person that a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or cause seriously bodily injury, or an act showing indifference to human life. Well, it sure feels like they're trying to force her to say, I knew it would kill him and I made a mistake, or whatever, because intent is there then. That's all they have to do. Maybe that's what they're after, is an element they're trying to close the loop on. But look, the one thing I firmly disagree is when he says, we're listening. No, you're not listening. He gets right one thing. He does one thing. He mirrors her. And it actually makes sense. She goes, what am I to do? And he's like, that kind of thing. He throws his hands out again. They miss a great lead. There's the word plan. I would lean in and say, Sarah, what was your plan? Was this a way to show him how powerless you feel when he was in that suitcase and something went wrong? Give her the opportunity. Give her the out. Give her a rationalization. Instead, it goes back to one more of this argument and circular logic. She now says her plan was to go upstairs and wait for him. Wait a minute. If we go all the way back to what I told you in the very beginning, and we say, I didn't go upstairs intentionally, I left an air gap because I knew it was not safe. Now you're telling me you went upstairs and that was in your plan and you're going to wait for him. Now you just admitted to me that you put him in bodily harm and you caused element 3 of that law. Now you got him. But now they allow her to have a chance. She set up the alcohol day one. That's a rescuer. She's been saying I only had one bottle of alcohol between the two of us, and now she's changing that. She does helplessness, and she looks at each of them with good intent. She signals the regulators, and she says, I thought he was okay. There's a lot of control there, and they go back at her instead of eliciting and challenge her again. If you just would pay a little bit of attention, you would get somewhere. Instead, this detective, instead of saying, what do you think would happen, forgets everything the woman's saying and jumps right on her and says, would you leave someone else in the suitcase? Altercation again. I think what they're trying to do is push them to that third element. But if you look at every one of these videos we've shown, each of those is a standalone. There's no sequitur between these pieces. If you look at this one, it's an argument. The first one's an argument. The second one's an argument. It's just, there's no power to it. That's all I got. Who did I forget? Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll be quick here. This assault on her character is what's causing this resistance. And you already know that because of the behavior profile. So how would you have used that behavior profile? I'm curious to know what you would have done at home. Let us know in the comments. We'll take a look. So what could have been done here is to demonize or shift the blame to the victim. This sounds horrible. It sounds atrocious, but it's extremely effective in getting guilty people to confess. In many cases, just like this one, thousands of confessions were obtained by guilty people by blaming the victim for the crime initially. And this is called projection in many, many cases. And this is a common tactic that has proven to be extremely effective. If they built a narrative focused on how she tried hard to take care of him, he's been abusive and mean and violent, etc., then the interrogator shifts to socializing, wherein they would start making it, these are her two things, right? So then they're going to start making it normal. They'd say something like, anybody would have done that. It's totally understandable. People are going to understand this. And that's why I came in here to help you. This would be especially effective just based on her profile that we developed in 29 seconds. So this is a formula for this behavioral type where projection leads the way in the interrogation. So in some interrogations, you want to minimize, then socialize, and then rationalize. This one, you want to project the blame, socialize the actions that the person took, minimize the seriousness, rationalize the motive for taking action, and that would have probably cleaned the table. Even Scott was saying that she's pre-confession. She's kind of just ready the whole time. Get that out there. It looked like that would have been a short discussion, like an sub 45-minute interrogation. That's all I got.
What did I say, Greg? When we were talking, I said 45 minutes tops, and you said, yeah.
Yeah, you said 45 minutes tops, and I just said, look, this is a falling off a log easy when 5 minutes into it, she's already starting to bleed.
Done.
But if it's altered, I agree with you, Chase. That's not in her personality. You can't go headlong at her.
Yeah.
I understand where you all are coming from.
Well, we're just trying to make sense of it. We're trying to figure out what you're saying.
We're trying to figure out this video.
You explain it to us. We're listening.
I just did. Like, we were playing, and then, like, I thought it was... My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. My plan was not to... He'll be up here any minute.
But you willingly went upstairs and went to sleep. No one forced you to go upstairs and get
My
ready
plan
for
wasn't
bed.
also to leave him in the suitcase.
So why didn't you take him out?
Because I went upstairs, and then I fell asleep.
But why didn't you consciously think, he's asking to come out, he can't
I didn't do it
breathe.
intentionally.
What do you think is going to happen if you leave somebody in a confined space like that?
Well, I thought by not zipping it up all the way, it would be okay. My plan was not to leave him in the suitcase.
And what was your plan?
Waiting for him to come upstairs.
And then when he did it?
I fell asleep.
You said you were up there 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, somebody not coming up.
Knowing that the last time you saw him was in the suitcase, 30 minutes later, you're like, maybe I should go check on him? Maybe I shouldn't?
No.
Well, that didn't cross your mind because it didn't happen.
That's like an assumption. Like, that's what you all are thinking. Just...
We're asking.
It's the whole...
You tell us.
It's the drinking. That's what it is. It's the drinking. I thought it was, like, I thought he was okay. Like, I didn't... He's
telling you he's not. He's telling you, Sarah, I can't breathe. He's saying your name, and you're like, that's my name, don't wear it out.
Guys, that's how we are with each other. Like, nobody understands our relationship. The whole suitcase thing never happened before.
Would you leave someone else in a suitcase?
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.